UFC Fight Night Vegas 22, Brunson versus Holland takes place this weekend, and there are so many young, talented prospects on the card that you guys need to pay attention to, and that's who I'm going to tell you about in today's video. These contenders have real chances to go on and become real legit threats in each of their own divisions. I'm going to go through all of them today in this video, which is UFC fighters to watch out for at UFC Vegas 22 this weekend. Let's not waste any more time and start with the first one on my list, who is Bam Bam Tai Tuivasa in the heavyweight division, a very dangerous heavyweight with big power. And I know what you're going to tell me. Guru, he just snapped a 3-fight losing streak to Junior Dos Santos, Blagojev and Sergey Spivak. What are you talking about? A fighter to watch out for? But this guy has real superstar potential in that heavyweight division and in the UFC in general. I mean, this guy is really funny. He's got personality. He was really doing well with the collaborations with Nelk, and they were doing some good videos together. He was in their video, and those get millions of views. He has a real chance to be a superstar. Of course, he's got the whole shoey thing going on. I know he wasn't allowed to do his shoey after his win against Stefan Struve, and I don't know why he wasn't, because if he was allowed, then he would have literally been a superstar. That clip would have gone viral. If you just KO'd someone, then climb over the cage and do a shoey with Steve Will Do It outside of the octagon. I don't think the UFC understood how important that was for Tai Tuivasa's career. He could have 1 million followers right now, but oh well. Tai Tuivasa, very dangerous heavyweight, very funny guy, got some power, just beat Stefan Struve, and before you tell me that Stefan Struve's a bum, I'll hit you with this back. He's the only unredeemed loss of Stipe Miocic's entire career, and he's the greatest heavyweight of all time. So he's still a good contender. I know he's had his best days behind him, and now he's a little bit of a shell of himself, but Tai Tuivasa KO'd him with flying colours, and I also think that people are going to be saying right now, Guru, Tai Tuivasa's not even on the card. His opponent fell out. Don'Tale Mayes is out of this weekend's card. But no, he has taken on a man named Harry Hunsucker, who was on the Contender Series and lost, but since then he's bounced back with a big KO win in the first round. I say a big KO win. It was against a 4-3 opponent, but oh well. I like this guy. He took it on 3 days' notice, so how can you not like the guy if someone's willing to step up on that short of notice against a dangerous guy like Tai Tuivasa? They've earned their shot, I guess. You can give it to him, but other than that, he lost to Jared Vandeera, who we watched get dominated by Sergey Spivak in the first round, got KO'd by him. Then before in his career, he even lost by first round KO to Don'Tale Mayes, who was the original opponent of Tai Tuivasa, and I thought that Tuivasa was going to go out there and handle Don'Tale Mayes in the first round or second round by TKO. I will call a first round KO here for Tai Tuivasa, and finally he'll have some momentum again in the heavyweight division, because for a while he joins the heavyweight division. He wins against Rashad Coulter by flying knee in the first round. Then he beats Cyril Asker by a vicious KO with an elbow and a big punch, and Cyril Asker face plants in the cage after that. Then he goes out there and beats Andrei Arlovski, and all of a sudden you're thinking, oh my god, we've got a real heavyweight contender on our hands. And they do what they do with every other guy in the heavyweight division that shows some kind of promise. They chuck him to JDS. This time it backfired, but I feel like he's still a legit heavyweight. He's done some training at AKA. He's really tried to turn his career around. He looks in much better shape, and I think he'll go on to do some big things, and he's still only 28 years of age in that heavyweight division, so he has a lot of time. Dangerous calf kicks, dangerous power. I think he's really good, and he's got some good feints and footwork as well that I like, and he really showed some great takedown defense. I know he lost to Sergey Spivak, but we've seen Sergey Spivak get down opponents so easily in comparison to the way he did against Tai Tuivasa. Tuivasa was working back to his feet a couple of times, and we've seen Sergey Spivak smush out a guy like Carlos Felipe. We've seen him do the same thing to a guy like Jared Vandeera. So at least we know that Tai Tuivasa doesn't have bottom feeder level wrestling. He's very good. He trains at AKA. He's going to have some good wrestling. I think he goes out there and gets the job done this weekend by first round KO, and I really look forward to it. But moving on up the card to another guy who's on the list, Mini Masvidal himself, Adrian Yanez. Again, future superstar in the making. Not even maybe because of his personality or anything like that. He just looks like a mini Masvidal, and that could take him to the top, in all honesty. And not only is that a real reason for why he could be taken to the top in terms of being a future UFC superstar, but his finishes are so viciously brutal. I love his finishes. On the Contender Series, he hit the guy with a 3-piece combo. I know Mini Masvidal hits the guy with a 3-piece combo on the Contender Series, finishes him off there, and that was a really big win for him. He also got a big win against Victor Rodriguez. Big head kick KO in the first round, landed a good combination, and it wasn't even a head kick KO that I saw from Adrian Yanez. It was the lead up before that in the fight, the way he was slipping out of the way of shots. He looks like he's been doing it his entire career. He's got some good amateur experience as well, with 4 fights against one decent opponent who was 3-0, but before that, I was really not really too sold on him before he fought on the Contender Series, which is maybe why the Contender Series is so good, because he hadn't really fought anyone too good whatsoever until he went on the Contender Series. He'd lost to some good contenders in Domingo Pilate and Miles Johns, who then went on to join the UFC as well themselves, so that's not really a bad few losses to have on the regional scene. But then he bounced back, started getting some momentum, got on the Contender Series, and that was really where he showed he belonged to the top, because he was coming off a split decision win to Kyle Estrada, who was 10-4, and I was like, I don't really know about this guy, we'll see what he's got. But on the Contender Series, KO's Brandy Huang, who was 11-1 in the first round brutally, then goes on and KO's Victor Rodriguez, who was 7-2 with a head kick, 7-2 with a head kick in the first round, a brutal head kick walk-off KO. Down goes Victor Rodriguez. I think he's going to get another finish here against Gustavo Lopez, who is a very good fighter himself, and definitely the hardest test of Adrian Yanez's career. But the way that Adrian Yanez has made his last two opponents look, I mean, it really is magical to watch some of the things that he's been doing, especially in his last bout against Victor Rodriguez. He was getting caught with some good shots, he's got a good chin, but the patience that he showed after rocking Victor Rodriguez early in the bout to find the perfect shot to put him down, just placing that right hand on the chin at one point that dropped Victor Rodriguez again, and then patiently waiting to find the opening for that head kick to finish off the bout. He showed a lot of experience there and a real potential to go on and do some good things in this bantamweight division. I think he does get the win over Gustavo Lopez, has been KO'd previously in his career by guys like Andre Ewell. I think he'll get KO'd again here, but Gustavo Lopez is no slouch, and there's a reason why these odds don't have Adrian Yanez as some massive, ridiculous favourite. I think he's barely 2-1 right now, because this is a really risky fight, and if he wins this one, we will have a real legit contender in the bantamweight division with some superstar potential behind him as well. Adrian Yanez is another fighter you guys need to watch out for. Moving on up the card, or down the card to the prelims, Roman Dolidze is taking on Trevin Giles on the prelims, and he took this one on short notice at middleweight as well. He's fought at middleweight before in his career, but he fought previously in the UFC at light heavyweight, but he looked like he had a little bit of chub on him in my opinion. So maybe, just maybe, this is his division all along, because he did look at light heavyweight like it was a little bit short. He's not the longest guy frame-wise for the light heavyweight division. Seemed like he had a little bit of muscle and maybe slowed down a little bit. So maybe taking this fight at middleweight, he's going to be a little bit more trimmed down, which I think is going to be a really good look for him. And he's got a tough test ahead of him in Trevin Giles. This is a very close fight to pick. I would not recommend putting money on Roman Dolidze. This is a really risky one. He's shown that he can slow down in bouts, and he's taking this one on short notice as well. And Trevin Giles has also shown that he does not slow down in bouts. I mean, his third rounds are among his best rounds usually, but I say that when he fights a guy who can grapple, his third round is really bad. I mean, James Krause on one day's notice should have arguably beaten Trevin Giles in that bout, okay? He almost had his back in the first round, almost had the rear naked choke, in the first round, had his back in the first round. Other than that, he's been choked out by Gerald Meerschaert in the third round, choked out by Zach Cummings in the third round as well, both the same way, just being overwhelmed with the grappling and getting caught in a submission. I don't see Roman Dolidze losing this one, but it's a very risky bout because Trevin Giles can get this one done, but I just think he's going to be too outmatched early in the bout in those first two rounds, and I could maybe see Roman Dolidze going out there and getting a big finish early. I don't know how I'm going to see it going, though, because he didn't finish John Allen, but at the same time, the way he was talking to his coaches in the middle of that fight, it seemed like he didn't even want to finish John Allen at some point. He was asking his coach if he wants him to submit him or not, like he's picking the way he wants to finish these bouts in the middle of the bout. So I don't think he's going to get a first round finish. I think he'll probably win this by decision. It will be a very close one as well, and I could actually see him losing the third round here by slowing down a little bit after taking it on short notice, but I'm very confident that he can get the job done in the first two to secure himself a 29-28 unanimous decision win. First two rounds to Roman Dolidze, last round to Trevin Giles, and it gets a little bit hairy, but he is representing Georgia to the fullest, but he's fighting out of Odessa, Ukraine, but he was born in Georgia. These Georgians are really taking over. I mean, people talk about other countries around the world, but when you look at countries like Georgia and the population size, I believe they have like 3 million people in Georgia, and the amount of fighters that they're now producing at a high level in the UFC, you got to pay attention to these things. The wave is coming from Georgia, and I think Roman Dolidze will get the job done this weekend by unanimous decision, 29-28. Moving on up the card to Grant Dawson, who's above Roman Dolidze on the prelims. That noise just came out of my mouth just then. I don't know what that was, but Grant Dawson is taking on Leonardo Santos. Again, another risky bout for a contender to take on. No one is really signing up to take on Leonardo Santos because secretly he might maybe deserve number 10 in the rankings because he beat Kevin Lee, he beat Anthony Rocco Martin, who has seen rankings in the welterweight division barely. At one point he was 15 and has floated around those rankings before. He has beaten great fighters. He beat Adriano Martins, who beat Islam Makhachev by first round KO, beat Stevie Ray, who beat Michael Johnson in the lightweight division, beat Roman Bogatov in his last fight, who is a 10-0 contender. I mean, secretly this guy is top 10 in the lightweight division. I don't know why no one gives him that credit, but he is a really underrated guy, but I do believe that Grant Dawson is going to go out there and get it done, and that just shows you how much I believe in Grant Dawson, because this guy is a really, really great grappler, and I could see him just maybe out-hustling Leonardo Santos here in his old age. I think the younger guy in Grant Dawson is going to go out there, put a pace on Leonardo Santos, do well early in the rounds. Leonardo Santos did not look the same in his last bout, and it was after he had been out for a year, and it's not a good year to be out when you're between the ages of 40 and 41. He's not going to be getting more athletic at this point in his career. I mean, even Glover Teixeira is at that level right now. But in these lower divisions, I feel like you can't really age that much. And his last bout was really close. He took a bunch of groin kicks in the bout, but still it was a very razor-close bout. He won it effectively and won it very well and very clearly, but still, it got a little bit worrying in certain moments. He looked like he was slowing down a little bit and starting to gas out in certain moments. I think Grant Dawson can put a pace on him and really work him for the decision by just staying out of positions where he can be submitted, by maybe like looking to secure a half guard or just holding Leonardo Santos against a cage, kneeing the fire, landing good body shots, moving well on the feet at range, which he does. Grant Dawson, very good on the feet. I do worry sometimes about his chin, because it is a worry. He has been clipped a couple of times, and I don't believe he's been KO'd in his career. No, he has, by elbows in the first round by Hugh Pulley earlier on in his career at KC Fighting Alliance all the way back in 2016, but since then, he has not been KO'd in his career, but I've seen him clipped a couple of times in his bouts, and it does not look like he has an iron jaw, so there is a chance that Leonardo Santos could go out there and really sort of thrive under the pressure of Grant Dawson and catch him straight on that chin the same way he did against Stevie Ray. I don't see him doing that to Grant Dawson. Dawson's training with James Krause. Great gym to be at right now. Glory MMA and Fitness. Amazing gym to be at. James Krause is a really good coach. I know why they've taken this bout. I think they feel like they have a really good advantage wrestling on jiu-jitsu wise to just be the stronger and more athletic scrambler in certain positions. I don't see him getting submitted, even though Leonardo Santos is a savage in jiu-jitsu. I don't see that happening in his old age. Other guys have been able to go to the ground with him and not get immediately submitted. I feel like he's going to get it done by just grinding out Leonardo Santos for the distance of the bout, 30-27. The third round could get interesting, but I feel like last fight against Nad Narimani, where he did get clipped in that third round, it was almost like Grant Dawson realized, right, I've won 2 rounds. This guy is really tired in front of me in Nad Narimani. I'm going to get some cage time on my feet. Because he could have taken down Nad Narimani anytime he wanted to in that third round. I mean, when he wanted Nad Narimani down, he got Nad Narimani down in those early rounds. He didn't look tired in the third, and I feel like it was a conscious decision for him to go out there in the third round, and before getting clipped, he looked really good on the feet as well. Really good in and out movement, great feints, great kicks as well, good front kicks all night long. I feel like he just wanted to test out some stand-up against Nad Narimani. I don't see him taking those same risks against a guy like Leonardo Santos, and I can see Grant Dawson sort of half-guard camping on Leonardo Santos and landing total strikes to a unanimous decision win, getting us ready for Usman versus Masvidal. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. These are my fighters to watch out for. There are so many other good fighters on the card, but I feel like I've already spoken about Brad Riddell and Gregor Gillespie. There are some other good fighters on the card. Cheyenne Baez and JP Baez, husband and wife, fighting on the card. Going to be a great set of opponents. I feel like JP Baez is going to lose. I think Cheyenne Baez is probably going to win. We've got some other good guys on the card like Montel Jackson, looking to bounce back since his loss to Brett Johns, 9-2 in the division. He's got bigger hands than Ngannou. That's not a joke. That's really the truth. He's got bigger hands than Ngannou. Got a big win over Felipe Colares, Andre Sukumtat, Brian Kelleher by first round Darce choke. I mean, Ricky Simone took Kelleher to a decision. Montel Jackson is very dangerous. He did lose to Ricky Simone. He lost to Brett Johns. He can be out-grinded in certain grappling bouts, but Montel Jackson is very dangerous, and he's got a dangerous guy, 5-1 Jesse Strader in front of him, but I think he's going to get the job done as well. This is a really builder card. There aren't many huge names that are going to draw a lot of eyes to the card in the first place, but after this card, there's going to be a lot of new big names. You know what I'm saying? Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Click that button up there. Goodbye. I'll see you later. Toodle pip.